My name is Anna, and this is the story of how love found me in the most ordinary, unexpected way. I'm not a dramatic person, and my life has never felt like a movie. I don't believe in soulmates or destiny or any of that magical stuff people like to write about. But then I met him, and something in my heart softened in a way I never expected. It all began 3 years ago, on a morning so normal that I can barely remember anything about it except one single moment. The moment he looked at me. Every morning before work, I stopped by the little bakery on the corner. The one with the warm lighting, the smell of cinnamon rolls, and the old radio playing songs from the 80s. It was my quiet ritual, the gentle start I needed before diving into the chaos of my office job. That morning, as I pushed the door open, I noticed someone new behind the counter. A man. Tall, with dark, messy hair, sleeves rolled up, and flour dusted across his apron like he had been fighting with a mountain of dough and lost. He turned toward me, and for a second, everything felt still. "Good morning," he said, smiling in a way that felt warm rather than practiced. And just like that, my day changed. I ordered my usual, an almond croissant and a black coffee, and he prepared it with a kind of quiet focus that made me smile. Before I left, he handed me the bag and said, "I hope your day is kind to you." Such a simple sentence, but I carried it with me all day like a small sun inside my chest. I found myself going to the bakery earlier than usual the next day, and the next after that. He was always there, sometimes laughing with the older women who came for muffins, sometimes humming along to the radio, sometimes wiping the counters with a concentration that made his eyebrows scrunch. His name was Liam. I learned that when his coworker called him from the back. "Liam, could you grab another tray of pastries?" I repeated the name silently in my mind like a secret. We didn't talk much at first. It was light conversation, the weather, the coffee, his disastrous attempts at new recipes. But every day it grew a little more. A joke here, a shared smile there, a moment when his eyes lingered on mine just a little longer than necessary. I didn't think much of it, or maybe I did, but I was too scared to admit it. One rainy morning, I entered the bakery dripping wet, holding my broken umbrella like a defeated warrior. Liam looked at me and burst into laughter. Not the mean kind, but the kind filled with affection he didn't even realize he was showing. "You look like the storm personally attacked you," he said. "I think it did," I replied, shaking water from my sleeves. He handed me a towel from behind the counter and said, "Stay a bit. The rain looks like it wants to ruin everyone's morning today." So I stayed. For the first time, instead of taking my order and moving on, he sat across from me during his break. We talked, really talked. He told me he had dreamed of being a chef, but ended up taking over the bakery after his father became sick. He told me he woke up every morning at 4 a.m., and sometimes he wondered if people even noticed the effort behind something as simple as a croissant. I told him about my job, how it drained me, how I felt like I was slowly dissolving into spreadsheets and deadlines. He listened, really listened. By the time the rain stopped, I felt as if I had known him for much longer than a few weeks. After that day, things changed. He started making my coffee before I even stepped inside. He started adding a little heart drawn on the pastry bag. He started saving me the last almond croissant when the morning crowd got intense. And I started caring. Too much, probably. I found myself dressing a little nicer, arriving a little earlier, lingering a little longer. I'd catch him glancing at me when he thought I wasn't looking, and every time our eyes met, something warm passed between us. But none of us said anything. We were strangers, friends, something in between, something undefined, something fragile. One morning, the bakery felt different the moment I walked in. Quieter, colder, wrong. Liam wasn't there. A woman around his age stood behind the counter instead. "Where's Liam?" I asked before I could stop myself. She smiled gently. He had to take the day off. Family emergency. My heart dropped. I didn't know why I cared so much, but I did. I worried. I kept checking my phone even though I knew he had no reason to contact me. He returned 2 days later, tired but smiling. "My dad had a bad day," he explained softly. "He's doing better now." I nodded, relieved but trying not to show it too much. And then he said something that made my breath catch. "I missed seeing you in the morning." It happened on an ordinary evening. I was walking home from work when I noticed him closing the bakery early. He looked exhausted, rubbing flour from his hair. When he saw me, he smiled like he'd been waiting all day for that moment. "Rough day?" I asked. "You have no idea," he said, laughing weakly. I hesitated before asking, "Want company on your walk home?" He stared at me for a moment, long enough for the air to thicken between us, and then nodded. We walked slowly, talking about everything and nothing. The sun was setting, painting the sky in soft gold and pink. At one point, our hands brushed, and neither of us pulled away. When we reached the corner where our paths split, he stopped. "Anna," he whispered, almost cautiously, "I think I'm starting to care about you, more than I meant to." My heart stopped, and then it raced. I don't remember exactly what I said. Something soft, something scared, something hopeful. But I remember what happened next. He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. And the way he looked at me in that moment, it felt like the simplest and biggest confession in the world. We didn't rush. We didn't jump into anything. We started meeting after his shifts, talking during our walks, sharing pieces of our lives slowly, cautiously, like two people holding something fragile in their hands. He taught me how to knead dough. I was terrible at it, and he laughed every time I ruined a batch. I helped him test new pastry ideas. He pretended to take my feedback seriously, even when I was clearly biased. He told me I made his long mornings feel less lonely. I told him he made my days feel like they had color again. And somewhere along the way, we stopped pretending that this wasn't love. One evening, after a long shift, he fell asleep on the couch while we were watching a movie. His head rested on my shoulder, his breathing soft and even. I looked at him, at his tired eyes, the flower still stuck near his wrist, the peaceful way he slept, and something inside me shifted. I realized I loved him. Not in a dramatic fireworks way, but in a quiet, steady, everyday way. The kind of love that grows slowly and gently, like dough rising in a warm kitchen. The kind of love built from small moments. The kind of love that feels like home. We're still together now. Our relationship isn't a fairy tale. It's not perfect. We argue. We misunderstand each other. We get tired and stressed and human. But every morning, when I walk into the bakery and see him smiling at me, that same warm, gentle smile he gave me the very first day, I'm reminded of how simple love can be. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be extraordinary. Sometimes love is just the way someone looks at you across a room and the way your world softens in response. And that's all I ever needed.